Sideboarding here. Actually, we are in game 2. Courland Strodel takes game 1, but Dredge always has good game 1s. And in game 2, we see a stack of lands on both sides and a rest in peace in play. I like what this looks as for Jeskai.
Yes.
It's a lot of lands for a Dredge deck to be having.
10 life is a pretty healthy life total for Nikolich as well.
And you see as he's starting to go for the burn plan. An end step Electrolyze shoots Courland down to 13. And Snapcaster Mage just as a 2-1. There's a rest in peace in play.
That's a combo.
No Colonnades, it looks like, in play for Nikolich, but he'll attack again, now even things up at 10.
Yeah, and it's just really not something that he's going to need. He has plenty of time afforded him by that rest in peace. Ooh, pretty significant draw for Courland. We'll see if it resolves, but he has entered explosives for 2. That would deal with the rest in peace.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not it gets countered. I expect that the way this thing's going on, that Nikolich may have a counterspell. And he does. It's Cryptic Command. Simple counter draw will do. Another Snapcaster Mage picked up.
Really turn up the heat.
Double the clock. Logic Knot. That is... Well, actually, it still works here, right? You just don't delve it at all.
Tap a bunch of lands. Depends what you're playing against. And I do like not casting the second Snapcaster Mage because Courland can just pay 5 mana for a Conflagrate.
That's nice. Nikolich doesn't want to discard the hand size, so he shoots a bolt upstairs, and Courland's down to 6. Bloodghast is the draw. Nikolich is at 10, so it is a hasty Bloodghast, or it would be if he had 2 black mana sources. But he doesn't.
A lot of problems on the Dredge side of this match.
Now he's got a fetch land. Does he just not have a second black mana source?
Well, we don't know it's been exiled so far in this game.
Sure. Yeah, he does have 2 Blood Crypts and a Gemstone Mine.
At 6, it's really tough to Wooded Foothills into Blood Crypt.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Snapcaster attacks and Courland down to 4. Interestingly, the closing speed on Nikolich's deck is going to be slower post-board here. You sometimes see them use cards like Search for Azcanta to close out a game here, but if you're going to board in 3 Rest in Peace, I would imagine the searches are boarded out.
They don't play super great together. They help you filter your draws a little bit, but yeah. Card that wants cards at your graveyard, and a card that exiles graveyards. Not the greatest combination.
Courland down to 3, and he gets a Stomping Ground, which makes me think that other Blood Crypt is off in the exile zone.
Yeah, it's also the case that the Bloodghast is nowhere near good enough. Can't block the Snapcaster Mage.
Thoughtseize, and he'll pick up the cards. Game number 3. Going to be on the way.
Thoughtseize would have been good at any point before that Rest in Peace came down.
Yeah, yeah.
Way too little too late there.
Yeah, it looks like for Courland, Thoughtseizes have come in out of the sideboard. He has 2 copies of it in the sideboard. And the Engineered Explosives did as well. Now, when you see a card like Rest in Peace, Game 2, does that make you reach for any of these 3 Nature's Claims?
Some amount. He also has 2 Assassin's Trophy, so that one I assume would come in first. There's probably some games where you point that as Celestial Colonnade or something like that, but the flexibility is nice to have.
On the play, it's possible that Courland can be faster than a Rest in Peace.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Sometimes you just get online when you have a couple enablers and get to do some dredging before your opponent has access to 2 mana. You can already have some Bloodghast and some Prize Amalgams.
All right, Courland will be on the play for the 3rd game. So with that, what I want to do week in, week out, I think I was interested in the list, the Jeskai list that Ben Nikolich is playing. Because you assume he's playing Jeskai. That's always going to be true. But looking at it, right now, it's a bit of a throwback list. I mentioned no copies of that Terminus. We've seen a lot of these Jeskai decks almost be like Azorius. They've gotten more Azorius-y, if that makes sense. They've been cutting a lot of their red cards. They've been moving toward Terminus. None of that true this weekend for Nikolich. He's still playing a couple copies of Serum Visions. Instead, no opt. Instead, he has 2 Serum Visions, 1 Remand. This is kind of a classic.
I think it's really charming that Nikolich is not playing Terminus, but he is playing 2 Hieroglyphic Illumination.
Yeah, that's what I saw that too.
It's
here.
just like, no, this card's just good. Pretty big on curiosity.
Up at the top, 1 copy of Secure the Wastes. 3 Teferi, no Jace. That's quite the split.
Yeah, you do see some waffling there. Seeing like 2 Teferi, 1 Jace, but just the full 3 Teferi, that's a very strong endorsement.
Yeah, I usually see the a mix of the two. Sideboard is so prepared here, though. You mentioned it. 3 Rest in Peace and 2 Anger of the Gods is a ton for this matchup.
Right. Yeah, it's a situation where Courland wants to have some answer to Rest in Peace, but then also has to worry about Anger of the Gods and that main deck Settle the Wreckage after the fact.
24 minutes here for the third game.
Yeah, that should be plenty of time.
Yeah.
You'd hope.
You'd hope. Courland on the play here. Got Unnark Amoeba in hand. He'll still keep.
Yeah, as long as you have Discard Outlet, Dredger, if you have a really good setup there, then you don't really care too much about having Answers to Graveyard Hate because you just put the pressure on your opponent to have it and have it on time. Sometimes there's an incentive to try to mulligan and find anti-hate.
And here we go. Just lands for the players on the first turn. Colonnade for Nikolich, so no threat of Spell Snare, Spell Pierce. If Courland has a Cathartic Reunion, green light.
Yeah. You would never expect a Spell Pierce out of a deck like Jeskai because they're always planning on making the game go along. But Spell Snare is in and out of these Jeskai lists.
I do like the Miser's Spell Snare sometimes in Jeskai. The deck's good at countering up and down the curve, but it's not good at playing 2 spells very much, so just kind of gives you on the draw a little extra game.
Right.
Courland's turn 2 play, not a Cathartic Reunion. What he will do is Life from the Loam back the 2 fetch lands he's cracked.
Yeah, that'll give him a Dredger here. Not the fastest one, but it's a fine start. Right, no turn 2 Rest in Peace there. Just Flooded Strand for Nikolich.
A Dredge from Courland. Gets a chill. So Ben down to 17. Mills over a Mountain and an Assassin's Trophy.
Given the no turn 2 Rest in Peace, kind of fine. Dredging over the trophy there.
So with these loams resolving, it feels like Courland has the freedom to just make land drops this game. I don't know how relevant that is in this matchup. In that, if both players just get to make land drops, Nikolich is fine.
Yeah, land drops are kind of whatever. Making sure that he keeps a full hand in case he needs to go for like a big conflict rate. Things like that are good.
Bloodghast, go from Courland. Ben taps a Colonnade. Courland reached like it was a Path to Exile, but instead it was just cycling a Hieroglyphic Illumination.
Quite a bit weaker.
Yeah. I'm looking for the one of Steam Vents. We saw Emma Handy play in... Actually, sorry, Jake Humphreys play in Dredge Round 1. Looks like Courland doesn't have it. So if he wants to natural cast a Prized Amalgam, he's got 1 City of Brass, 1 Gemstone Mine with which to do it. So no real way to fetch it out.
Yeah, you see this a lot in Dredge lists. They don't play too many blue sources just because their other colors of mana are actually very important for casting spells.
Yeah.
So there's a pretty significant cost to put a Steam Vents in your deck. If he keeps dredging the Life from the Loam, he will find City of Brass eventually. It can be awkward. He certainly would have rather cast a Prized Amalgam with 3 mana.
Get around to turn 4, and now that Courland attacks, Ben will spend a Path to Exile, still leaving up 2 mana. Though one of the mana is a basic Mountain, which means after that Path, Logic Knot's off the table. So far, Courland has not had much for follow-ups. He's gotten to, cast his spells rather freely. Needs to apply some kind of pressure.
Yeah, the only really form of velocity we've seen so far is he's dredged Life from the Loam once.
Yeah, I'm looking for something like a Faithless Looting. Something to get the graveyard moving.
Right.
We'll find Stomping Ground tapped.
And if you get to a point in the game where Nikolich has Cryptic Command online before you're able to cast a Faithless Looting or Cathartic Reunion, that can really slow you down.
Stomping Ground tapped, loam back 3 lands. I think we're going to go over on the hand size here if this resolves.
The old discard to hand size dredge. But I don't know that he has additional dredgers to discard. I see Narcomoeba, there's a Conflagrate in hand.
Of note, Ryan, so in play we have 5 lands that produce mana, and he has that basic mountain he loamed back. Those are all his fetchable mana producing lands. They're all, we can see them all now.
Okay. Not a huge issue.
Right.
The deck's generally not trying to get up to 40 mana and Conflagrate for lethal.
Yeah, it does mean these extra fetch lands he's loamed back they're functional in that they discard to other things, but they don't really do anything beyond. I guess they get back blood ghasts.
Yeah.
They do utility things. They don't do mana things.
Right.
4th land from Nikolich was Field of Ruin.
Yeah, additional mana sources mattered a bit more back when Golgari Grave Troll was legal.
Yeah.
Because you could just pay 5 mana to cast a giant creature. The deck doesn't do too much with a bunch of mana on the battlefield anymore.
See what the deck does do. I'm not sure right now.
Double Stinkweed Imp is like what we're building up to.
Conflagrate upstairs for 2. All right. Sure. It's a play. It's something you can do with 5 mana. Nikolich takes 2. And will now cast the second of his 2 hieroglyphic illuminations. This is a strange game we have.
It is. Given the pacing of it, it's still a fine spot for Nikolich to find rest in peace if he's able to get into that.
For as little interaction as he's had, Nikolich has got to be pretty pumped about how the game's going.
Yeah, the texture of this is really weird. Nikolich can probably suss out that Strodel has some kind of anti-sideboard card in his hand.
He'd have to, right? He has to have something.
Right.
Dredge's Life from the Loam does Courland. You already have Stinkweed Imp, Assassin's Trophy, Nature's Claim, some lands, and one other card. He dredged Stinkweed Imp into the graveyard that turn, so next turn he'll have something moving. We'll see if end step Nikolich starts trying to go for these black mana sources in the Blood Crypts. It would...
Yeah, fire off that Fielder Rune.
Yeah. It kind of matters. And are we looking for 2 mountains means he might be looking for a Conflagrate from Courland. How much does he want to go for is the question. Yeah.
This looks like a Confla medium to me.
That was nice. I haven't heard that one before.
you can use it. It's
all
yours.
Right,
yeah, for 4, started Stinkweed Imp, Life from the Loam. He hasn't demonstrated a Faithful Suiting yet, though. He can't really do much from here.
Nikolich down to 10. And one of the things that Nikolich can just deal with is, like, he has a Lightning Helix in hand, so whatever.
Yeah, do 4 damage to me. That's fine.
Courland will loam back 3 of those lands he discarded. Maybe he'll find another Conflagrate at some point. It just seems so easy on Nikolich's side, right? If he just does something like end step Helix, untap, Rest in Peace. Seems good.
Right. Yeah, Strodel really needs this Stinkweed Imp to dredge into some good stuff. He's got to get going with the graveyard. He can close the game in short order if he starts dredging and starts hitting Creeping Chills.
Great play by Nikolich. End step Field of Ruin on the untapped Blood Crypt. Strodel had left up mana for that Assassin's Trophy in his hand, but he does not have any basics left, so the mana is taken down on the end step by Nikolich.
How many Fielder Runes do we have Nikolich on this weekend? 3. So if he has another copy, he can just take care of the other Blood Crypt right now.
So what's the consequence of that? It means
he would need to combine it with Rest in Peace because of Life from the Loam.
Right.
So if you're able to fight over the black mana, that can be a big win.
Yeah, it means that Blood Ghasts become rough. Stinkweed Imps can't be cast. Some big wins. So you can't cast a Creeping Chill if you happen to draw one. Looks like Nikolich is going to just cast a Lightning Helix here.
Hand must be getting pretty full. The turn was Serum Vision's Lightning Helix.
Yeah, it was a main phase Lightning Helix, so maybe wanting to avoid discarding to hand size.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be.
Yeah, he hasn't made a land drop yet either. That Sacred Foundry on top was from last turn. Looks like players doing some confirmation on life totals. We'll do the same. Right now we have it as 13 and 12.
Yeah, there's been some odd exchanges on life so far in this game.
Not how I expected this game to go. It's been kind of this drawn-out affair on both sides. Normally Dredge is going to try to punch a bit harder at the beginning, but Courland isn't behind just yet.
It seems like the hand that Courland kept was very much trying to not allow Nikolich to have a rest in peace. But as you see here, he kept a hand that doesn't really do anything, even if there's not a rest in peace.
Dredge 5 off Stinkweed Imp is 4 more lands and an Imp. What is this?
That's a weak Dredge.
There can't be too many more lands left here, and he'll just cast the Stinkweed Imp.
The beatdown plans online.
And he didn't have a Loam either. He's got a Copperline Gorge. So that Assassin's Trophy is not up. He can play Bloodstained Mire. Yeah, he's counting. We have the benefit of the deck red sheet here. And the answer is no, he's not having any more fetchable lands, so he plays the Gorge instead. Which is correct. I suppose if he wants to play anything.
Yeah, I don't know how much mana he's going to need, and just having a card in hand for a potentially larger Conflagrate seems like it probably matters more.
Nikolich Celestial purges away the Stinkweed Imp. Courland dredges. This time he hit some things. He hit a Faithless Looting and a Prized Amalgam.
And a Bloodghast.
All right. So flashback on Faithless Looting. Will Nikolich let him have that?
I'd bet against it.
Yeah. If he can help it, I think no.
Right.
Nikolich needs to find one of those resting pieces, though. Here is Negate. No. No to Faithless Looting. Now, these fetch lands, they don't make mana, but they do bring back Bloodghasts.
I believe that Negate was from signature spellbook Benjamin Nikolich.
So Bloodghast into play. Nikolich is at 13, though, so no haste. Delayed trigger. Here comes Prized Amalgam, and go. Does Nikolich want to use his second Field of Ruin? We'll see.
Seems to be lining that up, or it's something like Electrolyze.
Yeah, Field of Ruin it is. And he goes for the other Blood Crypt. So if Strodel does not loam back these Blood Crypts soon, something like a Rest in Peace could really cripple his deck.
Right.
I guess Rest in Peace always is good here.
Yeah, he would need to have Rest in Peace and then still deal with the board, but that's kind of trivial. It's just one Amalgam, one Bloodghast.
Right. Yeah, Nikolich even has cards like Anger of the Gods in his sideboard, which would be solid here. But he actually just land pass?
I do spot at least a Path to Exile in Nikolich's hand. So he's not too concerned about the battlefield.
I like this on Strodel's side. He's going to go get that loam. He milled over a Conflagrate. We're getting to the point where that's relevant. And Nikolich will attack for 5, or Strodel rather will attack Nikolich for 5. Path to Exile again on the Amalgam. But Bloodghast will come in for 2, Nikolich to 11.
It looks like the Bloodcast does connect, and then Strodel's casting that Life from Loam, get those Blood Crypts back, wants to try to make sure he has access to black mana.
So Ryan, Nikolich could have started hitting with a Colonnade last turn, but it seems like he's still not ready to move to that point.
It's possible that he's just looking for a big setup. He has 6 mana left over, something like Snapcaster Mage Hieroglyphic Illuminations, if he has plans for the mana. It's really unlikely that he just gets to spend turns Colonnade. If he gets hit by one Creeping Chill, it changes the math, depending if he has his own burn spell.
So the idea is like, that would be a play if you wanted to race instead of control, but we're not feeling great about the race here.
Yeah, with this many cards in hand, in general, I would shy away from activating Colonnade.
Bounce draw from Nikolich on the Bloodghast. And now he just found Rest in Peace. Here's the card. Trigger. There is an Assassin's Trophy and a Nature's Claim in Courland's hand, so there's going to be a fight.
Looks like Nikolich has at least a Dispel.
Whether he removes it or not, doesn't matter. The graveyards are going away. That's a trigger.
Yeah, nothing you can do about that part.
The question is, do you think can Nikolich fight twice over this, right? Because there's 2 cards he's got to work through. So first we'll see Nature's Claim, and there's a Dispel. Leaving up 4 mana, I do like Nikolich's chances here.
With how aggressively he used that first Cryptic Command, be a little amazed if he did not have another one at the ready.
Yeah, feels like there's another one hanging out, doesn't it? And looking at the Blood Crypts, it looks like, did he get either of them? One of them's in play.
He picked both up with the Life from the Loam.
Okay, the other one's in Courland's hand.
Yep.
An attack with Stinkweed Imp sends Nikolich down to 10. That's hasted Bloodghast territory. But this is interesting. Strodel stocks to 8. Post-combat Bloodghast says go. At this point, are you interested in colonnading?
Yeah, it's just 2 hits now, and you don't have to be worried about Creeping Chill. I'd be looking at it. Nikolich must have really good spells in hand if he's just passing.
Yeah,
there.
he said no. Here is Bloodghast.
Okay.
And Settle the Wreckage, yeah.
That's a really good
Leaving
spell.
up Cryptic, sure. Now can we colonnade him?
Yeah, whatever.
I've been wanting to do it for turns
You can
here.
do whatever you want now.
Oh, okay, we're just going to... No, we'll just cast another Rest in Peace.
Reasonable. Now you don't really have to worry about him. Now it seems pretty easy to colonnade.
Now we'll cast Serum Visions.
Whatever. Commit game actions.
It's never going to do it.
He is a very patient player when it comes to closing games. If there is a chance that he can cast a reactive spell that might matter, he's going to want to do that.
It looks like he wants to leave up Cryptic Command at all costs, so he's going to... But with this most recent land drop, he does have enough mana for Colonnade plus Cryptic. We'll see if this means he actually gets to attack.
Yeah. And there's a lot to like about just having Cryptic Command up, and he's not under pressure. So it's not like he's in a rush. So technically, it was probably good to just go for the Colonnade.
Assassin's Trophy from Courland will get hit by Dispel. And it's in for 4. Courland down to his last 4. Casts a Creeping Chill. Both players at 7.
That's probably not going to be good enough.
If he draws for his remaining turns, the other 3 Creeping Chills every turn, is that good enough?
One of them is going to be countered eventually, or caught by a Lightning Helix, right?
Probably.
I would assume.
Seems likely. Well, let's see. Here comes Colonnade again. Courland down to 3. He needs another chill. Right now, Nikolich just 1 card. Prized Amalgam, not going to do it. There's the handshake. Ben Nikolich, both sideboard games go in his favor. Jeskai, maybe the meta's taking a turn for the worse.